Hi students, this is Miss Tomorrow, and we're going to discuss parabolas. So I know you're used to seeing parabolas with the x squared in it. The first two equations you'll notice both have an x squared, but it has a 1 over 4p next to it. So the 1 over 4p is the one that's a little bit different. So same as before, the h and the k are going to be your vertex. And like before, if the x squared is positive, it's happy, like this one. If the x squared is negative, it's sad. Okay, what does the 1 over 4p mean? Well, p is the distance from the focus, which the parabola is eating, and it's the same distance from the directrix. The directrix is the perpendicular bisector of the axis of symmetry. And remember, the axis of symmetry from Algebra 1 is the line of symmetry of the parabola. Okay, so we'll talk more about that when we do a few problems. The ones on the bottom, these are new. Notice that the y is squared. When the y is squared, it's going to open left and right. So positive y squared opens to the right, and the negative y squared opens to the left. Okay, and the p again means the same thing. It's the distance from the vertex to the focus and the vertex to the directrix. And again, the directrix is the perpendicular bisector of the axis of symmetry. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples. All right, for each example, we're going to give the coordinates of the vertex and the focus. We're going to find the equation of the directrix, and we're going to draw a sketch. So I'm going to actually start with question number 2, and I'm going to have you guys try question 1 later. So looking at question 2, the first thing we want to look at is we want it to be in the same form as before, as the other page. So we need a number next to the x and a number next to the y squared. So I'm going to add the 2 to the other side, because the 2 is not in parentheses. So it's going to be x plus 2 equals negative 1/2 y squared. So it's kind of like this is in parentheses. So the vertex, again, like the circle and ellipse and hyperbola, is going to be the opposite. So it's going to be negative 2, and there's no number in parentheses with the y squared, so it's going to be negative 2, 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start a sketch of that. So negative 2, 0. There's my vertex. And since it's a negative y squared, it's going to open to the left. So we're just drawing a sketch. Now, the other important thing is we need to know where the focus is. So the number in front of the squared term is equal to 1 over 4p. You are ignoring the negative sign. The negative just gives you the direction of the parabola. So we're going to do a little equation. 1 over 4p equals 1 over 2. So if I cross multiply, I get 4p equals 2. Divide by 4. P is 1/2. So that means from the vertex, I go 1/2 to the left. That gives me the focus. And I'm going to go 1/2 back to make the perpendicular bisector. So my focus coordinate, since I went 1/2 to the left, is going to be negative 2.5, 0. And the directrix, since I went back 1/2, it's going to go through the x-axis. So the directrix is going to be x equals, since it went through the x-axis, and it went through at negative 1.5. So it's negative 1.5. So that's the equation of the directrix. There's the vertex. There's the focus. Okay? I'm going to do one more with you. I'm going to do number 2 with you. Or actually, I already did number 2. I'm going to do number 3. And then I want you guys to try number 1 and number 4. So let's take a look at number 3. Check out the form. I have the number with the y and I have a number with the x. So that's going to be the vertex. So it's going to be negative 3, negative 2. Remember, the x number comes first. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little sketch. And obviously I don't want to hurt the snowman, so I just went around the snowman. Okay, -3, -2. Now, this is an x squared, and it's a negative x squared, so negative x squared goes down. So that's going to be my sketch. Now I need to find the directrix and the focus, so I need to find the p-value. So I'm going to look at the number in front. 1 over 12 is equal to 1 over 4p. Well, this one's easy. I don't even have to cross multiply. I know that p has to be 3. So if p is 3, that means the directrix is going to go backwards 3. If I go backwards 3, remember it's perpendicular. So the directrix is going to be y equals, since it goes through the y-axis, at 1. All right, focus, I have to go down 3 inside the parabola. Okay, so that's going to be where the focus is. So the coordinates of the focus is going to be -3, -5. Okay, so try number 1 and number 4. And then we're going to do a few more questions. It says find the equation of each parabola and sketch its graph. So we're going to use the information they give us to draw a picture of the graph. So I'm going to take a look at number 5, and it doesn't give me the vertex. So I'm going to draw a little picture. It gives me the focus is -1, 0. So I'm going to put a little dot there. And the directrix is at x equals 1. So it'd be right there at 1. Okay, well that means that the p distance is a distance from the vertex, and it has to be the same. So p is the distance from the vertex to the focus and from the vertex to directrix. So p has to be 1, and the vertex has to be at 0, 0. And since it eats the focus, it's going to have to be opening to the left. So if it opens to the left, it's going to be a -y squared. So let's see. I'm going to have x, and it would be x minus 0, but we don't need to do anything there, equals, I know it's negative, I know it's a y squared, all I need is the number in front of the y. So remember, the number in front of the squared term is 1 over 4p. Since p is 1, it's going to be 1 over 4 times 1 is 4. So it's going to be -1/4 y squared. Okay, I'm going to have you guys try number 6. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do number 7, and I'm going to have you guys try number 8. So let's take a look at number 7. I'm going to draw a little picture. I got the vertex is at 0, 0, and the directrix is at -3, y equals -3. So y equals -3 means it goes through the y-axis. So right away, I know p is 3 because it's 3 away from the vertex. Okay, so that means the focus has to be the opposite direction, 3 up. And if that's the focus, that means, whoops, my parabola should look like that. So the focus is going to be at 0, 3. And to write an equation, since the vertex is 0, 0, it's going to go up. That means the x is squared. So it's going to be y and then 0, so y equals. I know it's positive, x squared. I need the number in front of the x squared. Remember, it's 1 over 4p. So 1 over 4 times 3 is 1/12. So it's going to be y equals 1/12 x squared. Okay, try number 6 and 8. And then we have one more thing to do. We're going to do some completing the square. So I'm going to do number 9 with you. And I'm going to have you guys try number 10. So let's look at number 9. When we do completing the square, we want whatever the square term is, all of those on the same side. So since my x is squared, I need all the squared terms on the same side. So, or all the x terms. So 2x squared minus 8x. They have to stay on the same side. I need to move the y and the 6 to the other side. Okay, my next step is to actually do completing the square. So, to do completing the square, we're going to take out the 2. X squared minus 4x. Remember, leave a space. So completing the square, it's like what we normally do, like we do for her hyperbola and ellipse. All right, so negative 4, take half of it and square it. I'm going to get positive 4, so I'm going to add that to the left side in the parenthesis. And then remember, on the right side, I have to add 8 because it's 2 times 4. Okay, so I have 2. And then if I factor that, I get x minus 2 squared equals negative y plus 2. And then remember, we want the number to be in front of the squared term. So what I'm going to do is, usually there's no number in front of the y or the x, the term that's alone. So since the y has a negative in front of it, I need to factor the negative out. So I'm going to have a 2. X minus 2 squared equals, I'm going to factor out a negative 1, so it's y minus 2, and divide both sides by negative 1. So the number in front of the squared term is negative 2. X minus 2 squared equals y minus 2. So what does that mean? That means the vertex would be 2, 2. The number in front, which is 2, would equal 1 over 4p. So if I cross multiply, I get 1 equals 8p. So p is 1/8. So that means when I find the coordinates of the vertex, or I'm sorry, the focus, I would have to go 1/8. And since it's a negative x squared, it would be face down. So I'd have to go 1/8 in and 1/8 back for the directrix. So my focus, since I'm still over 2, but I went up 1/8, it'd be 1 7/8. Because it was at 2 and I went 1/8 closer. Okay? The directrix is going to be y equals, because it goes through the y-axis, and then I went 1/8 backwards, so it's 2 1/8. Hopefully that kind of makes sense for you. All right, try number 8. We're going to go over all of these next class. Bye.